The Legend of Zelda series has a ton of cool games that millions have enjoyed. However, there's also a dark side to it all. The infamous spin-off games which are filled to the brim with all kinds of weird stuff. And today, we're going to take a look at the top 5 weirdest Zelda spin-off games. Number 5. Now Link is known as a brave, knight-like character that uses a sword and shield, going through dungeons collecting items to help him on his quest. But who likes that? No one, right? Yeah, and that's why Link gets a crossbow in Link's crossbow training. This game is completely different from anything we have seen before in the history of the franchise. And it's all because of those freaking motion controls! In this game you use the Wii Zapper and the locations are taken from Twilight Princess. It was originally created to demonstrate the use of the Zapper, and all you do is shoot targets, bosses, enemies and a lot more. You're mostly stuck in one place, and in some levels the camera will move to different places, or you can walk around. There are some special levels and features, but overall it's quite straightforward. This game became a thing because of Shigeru Miyamoto's love for first-person shooter games. And man oh man, this game was not really a Zelda anymore. It was not a bad game and actually quite a lot of fun, but it was clearly out of nowhere and only made because of the new motion controls the Nintendo Wii had. If you ever wondered what a Legend of Zelda Modern Warfare game would look like, then you have just found it. In my opinion, it has a bit of a Mario Party feel as well. There are a ton of different challenges after all. Number 4. The Legend of Zelda series has almost always sold well. It certainly made Nintendo a lot of money. However, there was also a dark era, and in that time period a game called Link, The Faces of Evil was released. And this game was horrible and odd to say the least. This game is different from most conventional Zelda games in that it's played using a side-scrolling view, similar to that in The Adventure of Link. Stages are accessed from a world map which are selected with a cursor, with more areas becoming available as Link progresses through the game. The whole game is as broken as it can get, and the characters you see in the story are overall very strange. Especially their little cutscenes.
You're not afraid of dragons, are you?
Of course not.
Then get my necklace back from Gleok, okay? Pretty please?
This game gives almost every Zelda fan the shimmies, and everything in it is either weird or feels extremely wrong. Just look at Link's design in this game. It's the stuff of nightmares. Number 3. Now the next game on our list isn't that bad actually. It's quite a fun game. However, some things are off. BS, The Legend of Zelda Ancient Stone Tablets is different from most other Zelda games. The game's central heroes are actually the avatars of the player's ID for the BSX broadcasting system drawn into Hyrule. The difference being that this time the player does not take the place of Link, but takes part in a tale set after the events of A Link to the Past. Now, this is just an alternate version of A Link to the Past, a bit like the Oracle games, but this feels more like a ROM hack of sorts. The feel and pacing of the game is really strange, and because it runs on essentially a television, you could only play it for an hour at a certain day and time. And because it was at a set time and streamed to your TV, they also did live voice acting while you were playing. Clearly, this game is completely different from anything we have ever seen before. And when it comes down to its gameplay, it's a bit basic and a lot to go through in an hour. Nintendo loves experimenting and we all know this, but this goes a bit too far and doesn't really work. It's an interesting concept though. However, sadly enough, the pacing and overall feel of this game is completely off. Number 2. Now, sadly enough, the Zelda CDI games were around for some time, long enough for them to make multiple. So on number 2 we have the Wand of Gamelon, and this time, you don't play as Link, but as Zelda. Overall, the game functions the same as the previous CDI game, Link, The Faces of Evil, that we discussed in this video before. However, this time you play as Zelda, so things get even weirder. And besides that, it has all the odd features. The same buggy moves, weird graphics that looked worse than the previous games, strange cutscenes with awful writing and voiceovering, and a lot more. These games were just a huge mistake, and Nintendo knows this as well, since they were a huge commercial flop, and all these games have been memed to oblivion. Mostly the cutscenes spawned a lot of funny memes, and rightfully so. Overall, these games were a risky move for Nintendo, and they even walked away from a deal with Sony to create the CDI games. But when the final product hit the shelves, it looked like some weird fan game that was still in beta, instead of a game made by Nintendo. Luckily enough, they weren't around for a very long time. Number 1. Now, for our weirdest Zelda spin-off game on the planet, we have to turn to the weirdest character in Zelda, Tingle. Because this insane 35-year-old fairy-loving man got his own game. Freshly picked, Tingles Rosy Rupeeland. This is an action-adventure game that was originally released in Japan and roughly a year later in Europe. It was never released in North America, possibly because of Tingle's poorer reception in the West, and potentially due to having more sexual themes than most Nintendo-published games. And oh my, it certainly has some, interesting characters. Just look at your companion in the game, Pinkle. Besides that, the general theme of the game is collecting rupees and everything costs money. Talk to someone? Money! Need to take on an enemy? Money! Want to obtain something? Money! The entire world is built around it. Now, why they decided to spare the Americans from this curse but give it to us Europeans is unknown. And one day I will confront Nintendo and ask them, why me? Clearly, everything is completely different. The objectives, mechanics, characters, and even themes, because there is also forced labor. So yeah, we knew Tingle was weird, but games with him as the main character are especially odd. And now you know what kind of crazy spin-off games are out there. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to click the subscribe button, help me out, watch more videos, share them with your friends. Be very nice to me, thank you, bye.